Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. That are going to be discussing all of the latest transfer news and signings at Oxford United this summer. There's 7 of them, so we have got a list to get through. This episode of the podcast, we're going to be discussing about these players that we brought in. We're going to be speaking about how I think they're going to influence Oxford United next season, and we're going to be speaking about how I think they're going to help the squad itself and the depth we now have in the positions that we are strengthening. So we're going to start off with the first one. And the first one is Matty Taylor. Now, Matty Taylor, of course, signed on a 3-year contract for free. It was the first signing of the transfer window. Obviously, we'd already discussed that about him in the first episode of the podcast. So we're just going to be speaking. Obviously, already spoken about him, but just like to reiterate there as well, Matty Taylor is a fantastic player for Oxford United, and will bring a lot to Oxford going forward. The goals he does score for Oxford are absolutely fantastic. They are close to irreplaceable. He's a fantastic footballer. And the goals he scored, 17 goals last season for Oxford United, is absolutely fantastic. Goals in League One are difficult to come by, and finding a goal scorer in League One and the Championship are always very difficult. And we've certainly got one in Matty Taylor, and to get him on a 3-year contract as well, absolutely fantastic, for free as well. Absolutely great business for Oxford United there to signing on a 3-year contract. Obviously, that does not count towards the salary cap, which got put into place just a couple of weeks ago now. That was obviously before the salary cap, and we already discussed that. So no need to worry about goals next season. In terms of before the season, that we're going to be worried whether or not we're going to get a goal scorer or not. Well, Matty Taylor has scored the goal, so signed, and hopefully will score the goals. So Matty Taylor joins for Oxford United on a 3-year deal. On a 3-year deal for free, which is fantastic. Delighted to have him. And I'm sure hopefully he can help Oxford United a lot going forward. We move now on to the second transfer of the window, which is Joel Cooper. And there was one in between that I've just written down. It's just Cameron Brannigan. Obviously, it's not a signing, Cameron Brannigan. A 2-year contract extension. For him. But for me, that is almost a signing, to be completely honest. To have a player like Cameron Brannigan join Oxford United on a long-term with a long-term contract, with obviously what initially it was, but to now have him sign an extended contract as well is absolutely fantastic, and obviously something that we're all a little bit dubious about. And will this happen? Will this not happen? But Cameron Brannigan has signed a contract. In the last episode, we discussed how they were in talks with Cameron Brannigan around this new contract, but talks obviously turned into an actual contract, which is fantastic, and he now has a contract seeing him at the club until 2023, which is absolutely great. And a 2-year contract extension on Cameron Brannigan. Hopefully, we'll not be seeing him go anytime soon, and that contract certainly does make us feel better about it for sure. To see a player like Cameron Brannigan stay again on a long-term with a long-term contract, so that is absolutely great. Joel Cooper is the second signing of the summer. He obviously signed a 3-year contract, an underclosed fee. We did obviously discuss about Joel Cooper and what he can offer to Oxford United going forward. He's a tricky, very attacking player, going forward as well. He can play off the left, he can play off the right. Even clips of him playing down the centre as well, but I think he will be playing as a winger for Oxford United, where I've seen him play a lot in the pre-season clips and highlights. And also in those clips and highlights as well, I've seen some fantastic moments of brilliance from Joel Cooper in terms of beating players. I know they're only National League players. This is non-league, but they do beat players. He has been beating players in pre-season as well. So that's great to see that from a player like Joel Cooper. We want players in his first team squad that can beat players and can take players on. It's what we had with Nathan Holland and Cameron Brannigan. Sorry, not Cameron Brannigan. Marcus Brown last season. Ben Woodburn did it at times. Obviously, Fosu did it quite a lot when he was at Oxford. So, Joel Cooper can come in on a 3-year contract from Linfield as well, which is great. Also, as I'm recording this as well, the same day that I'm recording this, he's actually got a call up from Northern Ireland as well. Obviously, Sykes has changed from Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland, which has actually now given Joel Cooper the opportunity, also from Oxford, to take that step into international football and play for Northern Ireland. So Sykes leaves. Sykes-Leeds Northern Ireland joins the Republic of Ireland, and Joel Cooper takes his place in there as well. So Sykes-Leeds left, but Joel gets an opportunity, which is great. So Joel Cooper also starts playing international football as well, but also joins Oxford United on a 3-year contract to really help our attack next season, which is where we move on now to the third one. And the third signing of the big 7 signings for Oxford United this summer, and that is Sean Clare from Hearts, an attacking fullback, an underclosed fee. And I think this Sean Clare signing was sort of needed. Not that we didn't, I didn't know anything about Sean Clare before. He's now signed for Oxford, but I did know that we wanted an attacking fullback. I also did know that we wanted somebody from Scotland. I know that was an area that we were looking at, and an area that we've actually got the player from. Whether or not it was that player that we were looking at, I'm guessing it was, because he's come from Hearts, obviously the team that got relegated from the Scottish Premier League. So playing at quite a high level, even though he was relegated. And obviously Hearts have been in the Scottish Premier League Premiership, I believe, for a little while. So Sean Clare as well for Hearts is he's playing at a decent level in Scotland, but he's come to League One at Oxford United with an underclosed fee, and he certainly does look the business from highlights as well. He's normally plays in midfield, an attacking midfield role, and a centre midfield role as well. He's also played out on wide areas as well, which hopefully can help him out with the right back situation, going from maybe a right winger or a right midfielder down to a right back. But I have seen him play in centre midfield, and also behind the striker in the attacking midfield role as well. So Sean Clare obviously played in more of attacking areas of the pitch, but he's going to join Oxford United as an attacking fullback. From what I've seen as well from clips from Sean, he looks like a really, really powerful player with a real attacking threat, and hopefully can deliver a good ball into the box as well. That final delivery hopefully can be very, very good. And a player that who played a lot of right back football for Oxford United in the years, obviously Sam Long was playing for Oxford the sort of the second half of the season every week, and I didn't think he did a bad job. I just think we just did really miss that attacking fullback option that we did with Chris Cadden before January, and obviously then we didn't find the replacement in January, or couldn't get our hands on a replacement, so Sam Long was the player that would come in. But Sam Long didn't do a bad job at all, and obviously he's a fantastic lad in terms of he's an Oxford boy through and through, which is great. But he doesn't offer that attacking fullback options that hopefully Sean Clare can offer us, and Chris Cadden did as well. So Sean Clare joins from Hearts from an underclosed fee. However, rumours do suggest it was a fee of around £150,000 with add-ons. Whether or not no one knows what those add-ons could be. It's not instalments, which suggests it's not going to be fees added on that we're going to have to pay. However, it could be clean sheets for the back line, or for him. It could be assists, it could be goals. It'd be quite strange to have a goal add-on onto a right back, but you never know. It could be games played in the league, game played in the cup. I'm not sure, but add-ons that are on that extra fee as well that could be paid, but estimated around £150,000 for Sean Clare. So good piece of business for Oxford United if it turns out to be a good piece of business, and he turns out to be a good player. The next player is Marcus McGuane. He's on loan from Nottingham Forest on a season-long loan. First loan signing of the list so far, and of the players who've signed. The first loan signing of the players that I've listed in this 7. This player does look very, very good. He's played for some good sides, Arsenal and Barcelona's B team. So he's not shy to some big clubs. He's obviously a former English youth midfielder as well. He was born in 1999 in February. And this signing does also not count towards the salary cap. I'm not sure why, because I believe this was after the salary cap was put into place. But he's not going to count towards the salary cap, which is very, very interesting. And he will not be, it won't count towards that, even though it was signed after. I'm not sure why. Maybe the business and the contracts were signed before the salary cap, and it was just announced after. I'm not entirely sure, but we do know it's not going to count towards that. Like I mentioned, he also was part of the Arsenal academy, signed for Barcelona's B team. He actually played in the Catalan Super Catalan final, Super Cup final in 2018 for Espanyol. He also played in the Europa League in 2017 with Arsenal as well. So he's got some pretty good experiences in those big games. He can play in those big matches. Hopefully he can come down to League One and do just that. We want a successful season from him. We want a successful season from the entirety of Oxford United. So if Marcus can help us towards that and help us do that, that is fantastic, and that's what we want from him. So Marcus McGuane joins on a season-long loan from Nottingham Forest. He hasn't played for Nottingham Forest in his career. He joined in February, so we don't know too much about him in English football other than Arsenal in 2017. So hopefully he can come down to for Oxford, get a run of games going, get some consistent playing time under his belt, and prove to us and show us that he can play top quality football. He's a top quality player. He looks like he can be. Looks like he has played at a very, very high level. But hopefully he can come down to Oxford and do a very good job as well. I'm excited to see what Marcus McGuane can bring to Oxford, and the option he can offer us in midfield as well. Which leads us on down to our fifth signing of the seven, Dylan Asongai, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if it's not that, but he signs on a 1-year deal. He's a free transfer. He's previously of MK Dons. He has a very, very good relationship with Karl Robinson, of course, when he was at MK Dons as well, which is very, very interesting to have a good relationship with. The manager, and Dylan seems to have just that. I read a story as well that apparently as soon as he was released from MK Dons, Karl Robinson was on the phone to get him down for a trial as quickly as possible, and he was obviously joined and impressed for Oxford United in their Wales training camp for pre-season as well, and to impress for them in that's obviously very, very good, and he signs on a 1-year contract for free as well. So yeah, great to see another player, another striker join the club as well, which gives us options in Matty Taylor, Daniel Adji, Dylan Asongai, and there's obviously one other player that can play as an out-and-out striker as well. The next player is that player, and I was reading a little bit about him. He's not just an out-and-out striker. He can play up front. There has been records of him playing quite a lot of his football as that centre forward. But Derek Oswee, 2-year deal for him, an underclosed fee, and he was at Stade Brestios 29, which is in Ligue 1, so a pretty decent level. For a player in the top flight of French football as well. He looks like a very, very good player. Looks like a tall player. Looks like, and he obviously in his interview did like to say as well, very similar to Joel Cooper's. He said that he likes to beat players. He likes to take players on. He likes to score goals. He likes to get assists as well. As an attacking forward, that's exactly what you want to hear as a fan and as someone supporting Oxford. That's exactly what you want to hear from any football club. And a player and a winger comes in like Derek or as well. So we're very, very happy with that signing as well, and hopefully Derek Oswee can obviously offer us that as well, which brings us on to our final signing of the 7, which is Liam Kelly. Liam Kelly joins Oxford United on a season-long loan from Feyenoord. Obviously, we do know quite a lot about Liam Kelly. We know what Liam Kelly can offer Oxford United. He did that for Oxford United in the second half of the season when he joined in January. And he did actually show real something really, really different in a midfielder we haven't seen before. Obviously, he was from Reading. He went to Feyenoord. He's actually fallen out and is not really in the Feyenoord plans, which is interesting. And he will be joining Oxford United again for the full season this season from Feyenoord to Oxford as well, which is great. Because what we've seen from Liam Kelly, he looks like a very, very good player. Perhaps that's because he suits English football better than Dutch football. I'm not sure, but Liam Kelly looks like a really, really decent player. Obviously, scored that free kick against Newcastle. If you know, in the FA Cup, and when he came on in the Wickham game, even in the playoff final as well, he definitely looked like he could offer us something in midfield that Goring potentially couldn't. When Goring came off as well, Liam Kelly came on. He did offer us more of that attacking freedom as well. He could pass that ball much more positively. Not saying that Goring can't do that, but Liam Kelly naturally does that more going forwards, trying to find those positive passing lanes in the attacking ways. And Liam Kelly certainly did do that. So very excited to see what Liam Kelly can offer, and it'd be great to see him get week in, week out football as well, which is I'm sure what he wants. I'm sure that's what Oxford want, and I'm sure that's what everyone wants. And I certainly do want to see Liam Kelly play more, but I think that's just sort of asked the question of who are we going to play in midfield now. Gorin obviously signs. He's still at Oxford United, of course. Cameron Brannigan now signs his 2-year contract extension. Marcus McGuane joins on loan. Liam Kelly is also now signing on a loan deal. So that's 4 midfielders at the football club now. Who's going to play week in, week out in the league and things like that as well. So we don't know. There's lots of questions, and lots of things we need answering. But I guess 4 players, and we like to play 2 in midfield, 2 holding players in midfield. Obviously, last season was mostly Cameron and Gorin. Whether at this season it could be Cameron and Liam Kelly, but if you do that, you lose Gorin sort of more defensive attributes. I doubt we're going to see Cameron Brannigan be dropped, so I just don't know. Liam Kelly, we want to see play football, but who do you put him in for? And we don't know how good Marcus McGuane is, but from what his CV looks like, he doesn't look like a bad player at all, and it'll be very, very interesting to see what Marcus McGuane can offer Oxford United. So lots of signings for Oxford United this summer. 7. Do I expect more? If I'm being honest, I don't think I do. I don't know if I should expect any more transfers, and I don't think I do. The only way that I could potentially see Oxford do more business is probably if Rob Dickey leaves. If Rob Dickey leaves, then I think we have got something in me that might say we will be buying a centre back. But I say that with sort of question marks around that as well. Do we replace Rob Dickey or do we go? We're not going to replace Rob Dickey. Maybe this money that we're spending on these permanent deals are coming out of the Rob Dickey pot of money. I'm not sure. Is this an endless bank, or are we given these transfer funds as as a back, and the hope is to keep Dickey, or is this going to be a case of we're ready to spend on a centre back if Rob Dickey does go, but we're not planning on him going. And we're not going to say he's going until he's going, and we're not going to bring in players until he's gone. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting the way of Karl Robinson sees it as well. And I think we spoke a lot about Rob Dickey in that last episode, and I'm not going to sort of spend a lot of time speaking about it in this one, but I think Karl Robinson is expecting players to leave. He says that in most of his interviews, and he did say that against pre-season as well. This squad and this team is now suddenly sort of creating and sort of coming together now. And his squad going into the season, the first game of the season against Wimbledon, obviously in the Carabao Cup, and the first one against Lincoln in the league. I think we're slowly sort of creating a squad that will be going into that. Whether that's going to be 2-3 players potentially leaving the club between now and then, I just don't know. But we obviously got Atkinson who joined from Eastleigh in January last season as well. That looks like a pretty decent centre back. Could that be the long term Rob Dickey replacement? Of course, we've got Moose still at the football club as well, John Mousinho. So, we saw him and Dickey play a lot of football last season. Does that mean we could see a lot of John Mousinho and any more play? We didn't see too much of that last season. Obviously, Rob Dickey played one of the most minutes, some of the most minutes in the English Football League. So we didn't see much of Rob Dickey not playing. So we didn't obviously see any of Mousinho and Elliot Moore playing. So could that be the replacement short term, and then we bring someone else in, or is the Atkinson long term replacement? Is the Atkinson the sort of, if Rob Dickey does go, we know we've got this player coming through? There was question marks whether or not Rob Dickey was going to leave in January, because that mean that Atkinson maybe came in January just in case Dickey didn't leave on deadline day, like Baptiste and Tariq Fossey did as well. So very, very interesting to see what's going on at football in the football club in the transfer area, but. Great piece of business so far, very attacking piece of business. Matty Taylor being a striker, Joel Cooper being a winger, Sean Clare being an attacking fullback, the only defender on the list, Marcus McGuane being a midfielder, Dylan being a striker, Derek Oswey being a winger and a striker, Liam Kelly being a midfielder. So only one defender, and even him, he's quite attacking. So no centre backs as well. I was wondering whether we'd bring in a left back as a potential backup left back to help depth in left back. Didn't see too much of Josh Ruffles not playing last season, but I remember he came off against Portsmouth away, and we had to play Rob Dickey at left back, or maybe he played right back, and then we switched Sam Long over to left back, or Chris Cadden over to left back. No, it would have been Sam Long over to left back. I remember we basically put Rob Dickey in a position that he wasn't used to playing, because we had to play someone with him at fullback because Josh Ruffles came off with an injury. And he didn't look very good. He didn't look like a very, very good at all. He didn't look like a player. He obviously was at centre back, playing at right back. So, we do maybe need to bring someone in at left back. Could Sam Long maybe play there as a sort of a relationship, as a sort of a replacement? But is he cover for Sean Clare? You just don't know. Maybe that's a sort of an excessive potential. Not excessive, but could it be like a luxury? I think that's the word I was trying to find. A luxury. Maybe we don't need a left back, but it'd be nice to have a spare left back as a replacement if Josh Ruffles can't play. Because on the top of my head, I don't think we have got another left back. So be interested to see if we do any more business. But 7 signings so far is good pieces of business. Permanent deals in there as well, not just loans. Only 2 loans as well. And big news from Cameron Brannigan signing a contract extension as well. That is huge news for Oxford United. But thank you very much for listening to this episode of the podcast. Before I go, I'd just like to ask you if you could subscribe to the Young Fan Podcast YouTube channel. That would be much appreciated. It's a great way of sort of showing your support to the podcast as well. We've got lots of exciting things coming up in the podcast. I'm talking reviews, final scores after the games. I'm talking previews to every single game Oxford United are going to play this season and all of that good stuff as well. So really exciting things coming for Oxford United as the season starts as well, which is not that far away now. Only 2 weeks to go, I think, until Oxford United kickstart their League One campaign. I cannot wait for that. Like I said, if you could subscribe to the Young Fan Podcast YouTube channel, that would be much appreciated. If you could leave a like on this episode of the Oxford United Young Fan Podcast episode, that would also be great. If you go back and watch any of the other episodes, if you're just interested in Oxford, I've got 2 other episodes of Oxford as well. I have a fixture announcement reaction, which is the last one. I obviously have the Transfer Talks Begin episode, the first one as well. I've also got the World of Football episodes in between that as well, if you're interested in that. But thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Young Fan Podcast. Hopefully you have a very, very good rest of your day, a good rest of your week, and I will see you later.